on the cusp of the Belmont Festival at Saratoga Racecourse. It'll be the final time. Michael, let's sort of reflect for a minute on these three seasons of Belmont at Saratoga. Once they got the funding for renovation at Belmont, there was a question as to what they would do, and the decision they made seems to have been a good one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I'm heading up there today. It's Tuesday, we're recording, and I love Saratoga, but Belmont, there's history, and the Belmont Stakes. We've been watching that race for many, many years, and it's always been at Belmont. Now it's going to be at the new Belmont, and from what I understand, it's a beautiful track. It's very fan friendly. It's easy to get to. So, for the 3 years, it was great. I don't mind it going back to Belmont.
No, I think it'll be a curiosity at first, and then the dyed-in-the-wool New Yorkers who love racing will find their places of comfort within this high-tech facility, and hopefully it'll grow the game. We need new players. We seem to be getting many new wagers, new opportunities, and we'll see where it goes from here. All right, let's not waste any more time. It's the Belmont Stakes. It's the 13th race on a 14-race card on Saturday. They're going to go 1.25 miles. It's a field of 9. Your general thoughts on the field, period?
Well, it's going to be a much different pace scenario than there was in the Derby. The Derby, the pace was very fast and contested. This is going to be a lot slower. So the deep closers are going to really have to work harder to win. They're not going to get that same pace set up. It's a smaller field. It's the same 1.25 mile distance. The main contention, they're not new shooters. The new shooters are, I think they don't class up. So you're going to see all the major contenders, in my opinion, coming out of the Derby.
Yes. And what I would say and suggest to our viewers, watch the replay of the Derby, specifically the head-on that's available. And watch the few in here who emerged from that race. The trips that they experienced were each quite different.
Yes. I mean, that is something to take into major consideration in handicapping, but it's also was at Churchill Downs, big crowd, huge crowd, horses going 1.25 miles for the first time. The dynamics were very different for those horses being entered that day. This is a different type of race over a different type of surface. How they're going to acclimate to Saratoga is a question. And the pace scenario, of course.
The pace looks like it's going to be dominated by the 2-horse Power Shift from the Mike Rapoli barn, who also has the likely race favorite Renegade in here. Power Shift is getting a jockey change to Luis Saez, one of the better front riders in the game. He appears to have a pace edge, a tactical edge, a speed edge. How do you see Saez taking the race?
Well, obviously, Pletcher and the owner, Mike Rapoli, are entering Power Shift in this race to be a so-called rabbit, because he's the speed of the race. He's breaking inside. It's a big step up in class, obviously, from a maiden special to the Belmont Stakes. But Renegade needs pace to close into. And Rapoli also owns half of Renegade. So you know what their intentions are. Send Power Shift, get a legitimate pace. they're not going to gun and set 22 and 22 and change in 44. They're just going to get the lead and set at least an honest to lively pace to set up Renegade.
Who's the likely horse to press Power Shift, in your opinion?
Well, I think growth equity from Chad Brown certainly is probably going to be the second horse at the start of the race chasing Power Shift. I don't really see any other, speed. I think Emerging Market will be sitting fourth, third or fourth or fifth, but it'll be Power Shift on top with growth equity stalking. That's how I see the early part of the race.
Emerging Market was the Louisiana Derby winner at a mile and 3/16. Golden Tempo, as we now learn, not fully cranked for the Louisiana Derby, came out of that race to win the Kentucky Derby. And Chip Honor, who didn't run very well in the Kentucky Derby, came back to run reasonably well in the Preakness Stakes in Maryland. Does that, in your opinion, move Emerging Market up? How did you feel about the Louisiana Derby in the context of Triple Crown preps?
I would have liked to see more out of Emerging Market in the Derby. I think of all the horses that, he was a player. He was lightly raced, lightly seasoned. I think that hurt him in the Derby. The fact that he had only had 2 starts. The freshening didn't bother me because we saw that Golden Tempo came out of the same race and had the same freshening, but he lacked season that in the Derby. I thought Pratt gave him the perfect ride. He stayed relatively free of trouble. He saved ground. He tipped out. He was probably in the 3-4 path turning for home. And he really didn't have any punch. I mean, he finished 10th. He lost ground in the stretch. I thought that of the horses exiting the Derby, he ran I'd say the race that doesn't give me the confidence that he will improve enough to win the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, his was an interesting trip. As you point out, he really didn't have any trouble throughout. And then when the late running came, do you think folks will take a look at this running line and say, well, he was close to to that pace, and that maybe took something out of him, and maybe rate him higher than his 6-1 odds? Or do you discount that?
No, look, I wouldn't be surprised if he ran a really good race and an improved race. He now has a little more seasoning. His race in the Louisiana Derby was very good. It was, if you liked Golden Tempo out of that race, who I thought had more seasoning, Emerging Market ran very well. He had a very good workout on the training track at Saratoga on May 30th. It's Chad Brown. I don't think Chad Brown hasn't won a Belmont. So this would be, right, this would be his first Belmont winner. Right. But, when you have connections like this and you have a rider like Pratt, you always have a puncher's chance in this race. And he certainly will. I think he's going to be more than 6-1. I'm looking at more like 8-1 or a little higher. But look, he wouldn't surprise me. If he won the race, I think he would surprise me a little bit. It's not a selection I would make putting him on top. But I certainly wouldn't be surprised if he made his presence felt.
I think one of the more perplexing horses in this Belmont Stakes is the 7 Commandment. He'll get a change, and some top riders have sat in his saddle. Irad says no mas. Pratt says no mas. Luis Saez had him last time, and now we get the Hall of Famer John Velasquez. How do you see Commandment in the context of his 6-race career? He's got 4 wins.
He's a tricky read for me. I liked him in the Kentucky Derby, based on his performances in the Fountain of Youth and especially the Florida Derby. He's a grinder. He's a one-paced grinder. He doesn't have a lot of gears. In the Florida Derby, he was taken outside. He had a clear run and he just grinded them down. I expected to see more of Commandment, a more threatening effort in the stretch than I did. He did have some trouble. He steadied in mid-stretch, but he wasn't going to be much closer than he actually finished. Look, it's Brad Cox. The horse has won 4 races and 6 starts. He knows how to win. You throw out that Derby race, his prior races were 4 straight wins and showing steady improvement. But his grinding style at 1.25 miles, I don't love John Velasquez on this type of horse. I know he doesn't have gears, this horse. He's a grinder and he comes from behind. I see Johnny V on a different type of horse than this one. But look, if I wouldn't be shocked if he improved over that performance and he won this race at anywhere between 6 and 8 to 1.
Let's go to the Derby winner, Golden Tempo. Absolute perfect trip behind that hot pace you talked about. Saved ground throughout, then angled out and managed to get ahead of Renegade, the ultimate race favorite. And we'll talk about Renegade's comparable trip in a moment. But we missed the wedding, didn't we, here?
Oh, no, we sure did. And I missed calculating his chances, or I really kind of missed this horse. Now, I wasn't going to pick this horse first or second, but I could have picked him in underneath in my picks. And I just didn't feel that his races in the Risen Star Louisiana Derby were good enough to win a race like the Kentucky Derby, but he peaked on the right day. He loved the distance. He had good time off between the Louisiana Derby and the Kentucky Derby. He got set up perfectly by the pace of the race. And look, he made up a lot of ground. Like if you watch the aerial view of the race, you could appreciate the unbelievable ride that Jose Ortiz gave Golden Tempo. I mean, he moved him at the perfect time. He weaved inside and out. He tipped out at the right time, and he just nailed Renegade in the shadow of the wire. It's a different scenario on Saturday. The pace is not going to be as quick. He's going to drop back anyway and make one run. But look, he was 23 to 1 in the Derby. He's going to be probably 4 to 1 in the Belmont. He's going to have to close from well back with a slower pace than he got in the Derby. He is not the type of horse I'm going to pick on top. I'm going to let him beat me. I certainly respect his chances to include him in exotic plays, but he is not a horse that I'm going to pick after I dismissed him in the Derby. And there's other horses in here that I like better, simply on handicapping reasons, pace scenario. So Golden Tempo, I respect, but as a top pick, I'm going to look to beat him.
Let's talk now about the 3 Chief Wallaby. Pure class handicappers will look at him and say, well, he's run pretty well, but he's still eligible for non-winners at 2.
That's true. And Oselli is still eligible for a maiden special weight race. And Win Beckman is going in the Ohio Derby after running in the Derby and the Preakness.
By the way, I know that this is a $2 million race, but I think he made a smart move to go for the 500,000 out in Illinois.
Yeah,
right?
Well, we talked about it together, and we both agreed this was no mas for this Triple Crown finale, because you go to the Ohio Derby, try to get the money there, and if the horse does run well, you come back in the Travers.
There you go.
But
the
Chief
Chief.
Wallaby, huh?
No, the Chief.
Yeah, Chief Wallaby is certainly a major player, in my opinion. Bill Mott is doing the same thing he did with Sovereignty, except Chief Wallaby didn't win the Derby, but he skipped the Preakness to wait for this race. And we saw last year Sovereignty won the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Chief Wallaby, he broke his maiden first time out sprinting. That's not his game, but he came back to get beaten a neck in the Fountain of Youth. And in the Florida Derby, he was actually between horses. He had a tough trip that day, and he was only beaten a half a length. And actually, like you said, Tom, if you watch the replay of the race, both Chief Wallaby and Renegade, to me, had the toughest trips. And Renegade almost won the race, getting slammed from the rail at the start. And Chief Wallaby had some trouble. He checked at a crucial point in deep stretch. If he didn't, he would have been closer at the wire. I think that Chief Wallaby breaking inside, he's a bit tactical. He's not going to be that far back. I also think the blinkers on was an experiment that actually worked. In the prior race, 3 races without the blinkers, he was a bit green, holding his head up and down, kind of looking out to the outside. He was focused. He trained well with the blinkers into the Derby, and he ran well with the blinkers in the Derby. I think this horse is a major player.
Yeah, I think the story of the blinkers is interesting. I know that they're writing that the Junior Alvarado woke up one day and said, "I'm going to tell Bill to ask Bill to put the blinkers on." And when he got to them, Bill said, we already put them on." So great minds think alike. And, the fact that he's been based at Saratoga, he's got 2 solid company works with Knightbridge, who'll be 3rd or 4th choice in the Met Mile. This is a very nice Mott horse who's won a lot of races. I don't know if he's going to win the Met Mile because it's competitive, but he's a competitive workhorse for sure. And once again, you repeated it. I'll reiterate it. Watch the replay if you're going to make a decision grounded on these horses coming out of the Derby. Let's go to the likely favorite, Derby favorite, Renegade. This is a January foal. He's the earliest foal of this crew and has done nothing wrong. If anything, you can argue that what's wrong has been done to him. And you can call that post 1 in the Kentucky Derby. Renegade.
Obviously, he's the favorite in the race. I think Renegade will be in the vicinity at 2-1. The line that David Aragona made is correct. Chief Wallaby is 3-1. I think that's about what he's going to be as well. It's interesting to note that both Renegade and Golden Tempo, the 1-2 finishers in the Kentucky Derby, both had feet issues going into the race. Quarter crack, whatever. They had to change shoes. They had to do all kinds of things. They were both very sound going into the race. I know a little bit about what the shoes can and cannot do, and how important the blacksmith is. But
Amen.
the blacksmith did their job on both Renegade and Golden Tempo, and they were ready to run. Renegade had an awful trip. I mean, breaking from post 1 in the Derby is a death nail right there. I mean, that's just very tough to overcome. He was going to be well back anyway, but he was slammed pretty hard leaving the gate. It took Ortiz a little while to get him settled, but he did. He settled him far back. Once they spread out on the backstretch and he was overcoming that early trouble, he was in a nice stride. He moved at the right time. He was simply outfinished by his brother right on the wire. The Arkansas Derby was a great race. He just is a big, long striding colt that is going to get a setup in this race because of his stablemate Power Shift, who will set the pace. He's training well. I mean, he worked excellent over the training track twice, but on May 29th, it was a very good work. Irad is a money rider. There's no reason to believe this horse. He's a worthy favorite. If you want to take a shot with him, against him, you have to have a horse you can really hang your hat on to take a shot against a legitimate potential winner in Renegade.
We didn't mention two horses. The one Vitruvian Man, the 5 Otino, another Chad Brown horse. I don't know about you, or I'll ask you. Can you make a case for either one of these horses to factor in this race?
Look, we've been wrong before, but Vitruvian Man wants shorter. It exits a negative race in the Santa Anita Derby. I just don't see this horse. I don't see Otinho, who was ran second to Further Ado, who blew away the field in the Bluegrass, and he was up the track in the Derby. But Talkin, who ran third, was awful in the Preakness, and he only beat Talkin by a length and 3/4. So I think he's totally outclassed at a distance he doesn't want to go.
Okay, so that's the field. Michael, first question, where can folks get your picks and selections, the betting window for Belmont at Saratoga and for the Belmont particularly?
Well, I finished Wednesday, Thursday are done. Friday is soon, and I'm working on Saturday. So I'm so happy I'm ahead, so I can head up to Saratoga after this episode and get to see you and my horse at the stable and get ready for a day's racing tomorrow. Those products are available in two places. You can get them on my website at wizardracingsports.com. It's wizardracingsports.com. And on that site, you will see the stable, the 5 horses that I own. And it's a really cool site. Or you can get it at the Daily Racing Form, where I've been there for many, many years. So those two places. But right now, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on my site is available. Friday will be up soon at DRF. So those are the two places. And I'm looking forward to going to Saratoga and hanging out with you, Tom, tomorrow and watching our horse hopefully run a good race.
Well, it's the Critical Eye tomorrow. We've talked about that race. You fit, Walk With Me fits the race, and we'll just see how it plays out. Yeah. I want to give you an opportunity here. This is Belmont at Saratoga. Really, it's Aqueduct Extended up here. We'll wait till July for the true and full Saratoga. There'll be the July weekend festival again, and then we'll wait for a Thursday opening. There was a Broadway show where the lead song was another opening, another day. Well, we have more openings at Saratoga these last 3 years. But you're making an adjustment to the Wizard sheet, which I know you're going to make available to the public come Saratoga. So I want you to have this opportunity to the folks who are interested in Belmont to tell them a bit about how you're going to tweak the product.
Well, as you know, we've discussed this product for a long time. I've been working on this in my head for many years. I'm actually going to execute it at the beginning of Saratoga. And it's pretty much my current betting window on steroids. And what I mean by that is there's more information to help you be better equipped to win and know exactly how I feel about the race as far as a bet goes. So one thing I'm doing differently is I have 4 diamonds. So actually, no diamonds is a play I'm not making. I'm passing the race, and I don't pass many races, as you know. Then I have a 1 diamond is a moderate opinion, 2 diamonds stronger, 3 diamonds are all crystal ball best bets. And then I've saved the 4 diamond play, which I refer to as the Diamond Scepter. And that's a play that I reserve. It could happen anytime. It's the play that I'm going to make my biggest bet on. It's a horse that I may be watching for a while.
The Scepter is not necessarily an everyday play. It's
It
an
is not an
opportunity.
everyday.
It's an opportunity play. Right?
It's a play to go for the score. It's a play that I'm going to step in and make a big bet on. So that the Diamond system tells you exactly how I feel about the bet or about that race. Then
there'll be significantly more clarity about the strength of your opinion in each race.
Absolutely. It's as I will tell the paying customer exactly how I am going to approach the race as far as betting dollars on as you know, how I do that.
Yeah. I'm going to share a tale that just popped into my head. You know, there was a time in It's Fair Land when I actually bought the Wizard sheet I would call it in my developmental stage, right? Back when it was $2.50, brother. So I'm talking pre-inflation years. And what I used to do is, read what you wrote and try and pick out what I called the wizard words, the words that seemed to indicate that this was a stronger opinion. And, when we became friends, I shared that file with you. You kind of laughed at me, but I still have WizWords on my computer. And, it's the same thing I think I've said in the past. I asked Paul Corman, the late Paul Corman, what words did he use when he was charting horses that were more important than others? And so now we don't have to worry about the words. We just look for the diamonds.
Yeah, I try to make it less cryptic. As you know, you refer to me as a guy that's kind of cryptic.
God almighty.
Yeah. But the other thing that I'm doing.
It took you 30 years to crawl out of the lair.
Yeah, well, I need the air. I'm getting older. I need the air for the brain. The other thing I'm going to do on the sheet that I don't want to tell you exactly what the bet is, I created a new bet that you can actually make. And it's a low risk, high reward play. It's fantastic. It keeps you engaged throughout the day. And like for a $10 play, you can make like a few hundred if you're right. It's not going to hit every day, but when it hits, it's going to be really good. And the sheet is designed so easy, like a 1-page, put it in your pocket, get mustard on it, mustard stains, and you still know who to bet, what the race is like, how much to bet. It's all going to be there. It's certainly, you've seen the product. You know that I've been working on it for many years. I'm at the 8th pole in my career. I'm bringing it home with this product.
You're inside the 8th pole.
Right, but I'm bringing it home and I'm going to win this race. And this product is for every level of expertise, the beginner, the novice, and the expert. So that will come out in right when Saratoga starts.
Okay, so that's the Belmont preview and a bit of a tease, if you will, on the updated, upgraded, new version of the betting window, a product you can't find anywhere else. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the Belmont preview from Get Tied On. We will be back in a week, and Michael will be recording interviews and posting them as well. Thank you for joining us. You stay tied on.